What's going on YouTube? JT Born here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic reviews. And in this video, we're talking about Batman Detective Comics, issue number 1093. This one's written by Tom Taylor, artwork by Mikel Janin, and this is part 4 of this whole Asema storyline that's been going on for a little bit. We had this serial killer who's been targeting kids who have recently been in a juvenile detention center. So juvie kids, like she's been targeting them. And Batman's been brought in to try and figure out what's going on. And she may or may not have connections to Joe Chill's supposed daughter, who Bruce had slept with. I think it was the last issue or the issue beforehand, which just feels kind of strange. We also have to acknowledge the fact that she was also partially named after his mom, too. So, I don't know. There's kind of some strange stuff going on with that. And he's known her when she was a lot younger. And, you know, it just, she was hot. So he just justified it. But, yeah, so even he felt a little off doing it. But he's like, you know what? The thing in my pants is speaking to me in this moment. At least it's not Batgirl and the Killing Joke. So, which, God, that did happen, man. I tell you what, I saw that movie in theaters and nothing like will ever be able to replicate the reaction of the crowd during that screening when that scene happened. So yeah, also apologies for bringing it up. I know a lot of people hate that and brought up the mental picture of it happening, but yeah, it's just one of those really disturbing things. But anyways, let's get back on track here. So we have a flashback moment with the young Bruce at Wayne Manor, and you know, over time people stop coming there to mourn the Waynes, and of course, like I said, there's all that initial stuff, but after a while people start to forget. But we have Evelyn, who was, you know, saved by Martha at a young age. And then we have Scarlet Martha Scott, who was like, hi, I was named partially like after Martha, as we found out in, you know, earlier issues. Early issues, I'm like, what am I even saying right here? I'm a little tired, y'all. It's been a long day. But anyway, so there's kind of an uncomfortable moment. It reminds me a little bit of the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, where he goes to confront Bruce, like kind of behind the fence. But this is Alfred jumping in once again. It's like, you might want to get lost, lady. You're kind of putting your hands on the kid, and you kind of come across as a little bit unhinged here. So there's that going on. But we also have some kids who were like kind of on this list of sorts, you know, just being targeted by the serial killer. And so the Bat family comes in to basically kind of like keep an eye on the kids, so they don't get killed, I guess. So we have Steph, which is cool to see. We have Tim, we have Jason, we have Duke, which, you know, Duke hasn't been showcased in quite a while, it feels like. So it's nice to see him get something. Babs is here. There is no Cass and there is no Dick Grayson, which I'm kind of surprised they didn't use them. I mean, Babs is here. Like I said, I feel like maybe like, but then again, Babs is like Oracle. She's always there working with the Bat family on different stuff. So like sometimes she's in Gotham, she's in Bloodhaven. Like she definitely gets around like between the two cities. And she's also doing stuff with Birds of Prey. You know, Barbara Gordon's a very busy woman. But yeah, like Nightwing's not here. And you know what, to be honest, like Tom Taylor spent so much time writing Nightwing, he could use a break from it. And then of course, you know, Cass I think is off in her little solo adventure right now. So we got that going on. But yeah, so the Bat family, they're looking out for the kids. Then of course you get this one moment where this kid goes back to where his stepdad's at. He had stolen the car. There's definitely some, you know, issues going on between them. But Batman shows up and he's like, the guy's like, hey, this son of a bitch kid stole my car. And Batman comes in, kind of kicks the crap out of him. It's just like, you know, just waits for the authorities in that too. Because like he was an abusive stepdad. Kid didn't do things right by stealing, but you know, he's in a terrible household too. So it's his means to rebel. So no win scenario, but you know, Batman's like, look, they're kids. They make mistakes, and you know, there should be some consequences to an extent, but also he wants to see them kind of like turn a new leaf and kind of do the right thing and become better in the end. So we got that going on. So they decide that they're going to kind of keep an eye on the kids, make sure they're safe. Even though, like I said, they're not exactly like perfect. They've made mistakes in the past, but it still doesn't justify the murder of them too. So, but there's also a moment too where he kind of has secret surveillance on them that the kids aren't aware of. Tim points out that spying on these kids is ethically not great. And then Damien's like, 10 people being murdered is not great. So it's kind of a little touche moment between the two of them with different points of view. Like there's a point where it's like, yeah, spying sometimes is going too far on these things, but we're also trying to keep an eye on them until this serial killer is done. So it's like, how much do you want for like what's the price of like, you know, your own privacy versus like also security. I thought that was a little bit interesting, just seeing like their 2 points of view of the whole situation. Because like I said, there is a time where it goes like too far. So, but then there's times where it's like, no, you kind of need a little bit of a security blanket, especially with the fact that we're keeping an eye on them because there's a serial killer targeting them. So, having a little surveillance on, you know, these kids who are very vulnerable, especially in this situation, it doesn't seem too bad to me, because like I said, they're keeping an eye out because they know the serial killer is going to strike at any moment. So there should be some surveillance on the kids, making sure that they're okay. Letting them know that they're aware of it or not, I don't know. That's a little bit of a different story. But yes, we got that going on. Bruce is also trying to score with, you know, Scarlett again, but also trying to get some intel because there's some sort of connection between Asema and the kids, like, you know, being missing. It's obviously that they work for him, as we come to find out, but we don't exactly know who it is. Probably her mother, who's been taking the youth serum. Like, they keep her masked in this thing, but, or maybe it's Scarlett. Like, maybe Scarlett is her mom. Like, this isn't really Scarlett. Maybe it's her mom or something, and she's been taking the serum, and she's looking like younger as a result. I don't know. I just watched that movie, The Substance, like a week or two ago, and I just kept thinking of something like that. And maybe this issue will kind of do something kind of similar to that, where it's like the youth serum like makes her like this, but there's really kind of like a dark twist to it all, and she's really just the person like all along. So I don't know. I think that'd be kind of a messed up thing to do, but I mean, you know, it'd be something interesting to draw from. Then of course we have Batman going to investigate stuff going on. He finds out that there was a hit put on like the serial killer and Asema, and it was done by Penguin, but then he kind of called it off like after the fact, because he was also kind of a lot of his youthful people aren't showing up at the Iceberg Lounge, and he doesn't really like that, so he wants to find out who's kind of doing it himself. But as Batman's talking with him, he gets a call that one of the kids is like in danger from the serial killer. Asema was trying to put him into him, but like Batman's the closest one in proximity, and then he shows up, but then he gets kind of his artery cut, but she kind of lets him live. But in terms of the kid, I don't know if he survived or not, because it's like, it's not 100% clear, like, because he's holding his hand, he's like, I'm here, because Batman's kind of fading out of consciousness, and I don't exactly know if this kid made it or not. Like, did he just kind of die? Maybe he did, or maybe he didn't, but she's like, you need to learn that not every life is worth saving. And of course, his DNA is taken back to the lab, and they find out that, you know, Batman is Bruce Wayne. So again, we're still trying to figure out who Asema is. It's probably like, it's either Evelyn or Scarlett. It's one of those two. More than likely the mother with the serum that she's been taking, or there's gonna be some crazy like reveal where Scarlett passed away, or maybe they switched bodies or something. Like I said, maybe it's something like the movie The Substance I just watched. Yeah, so overall I did enjoy this thing. Mikel Janon's artwork looks really, really good in this thing from like start to finish. Like, I mean, a lot of Tom Taylor's books, even if the writing isn't always on point, a lot of the art usually is. And I think like what Mikel Janon and that's been doing with this thing has been absolutely like, you know, exceptionally like well done. With each issue, I feel like in some ways like really improving upon like the previous one in a lot of ways. And I think, like I said, the action bits, especially with what was I thinking? Batman and Asema. Sorry, why was I thinking Godzilla on the mind? So I don't know. I just covered a Godzilla comic book and was reading stuff beforehand. So apologies for that. My mind's a little scattered. It's getting kind of late. I'm really tired. But I want to get this video out here because you know, new comic books are coming up in the next couple of days, and I figured, okay, get this one out, and then I got like 2 more DC comic book reviews I want to get out before the new books come out on Wednesday. So I should have those all out by tomorrow, and again, I'll feel pretty good once those are out, and then we can start the next week. So yeah, I used to try and rush to get these things done, but then after a while I'm just like, I'm just gonna get them done when they're done. But yeah, like I said, I feel like I don't have too much else to say about this particular issue. Like I said, I just kind of went through and summarized all the main points that sort of happened within it. There's kind of an interesting mystery, I suppose, going on. Like it's a pretty obvious it's gonna be one of those 2 characters involved, but I'm kind of waiting for the big twist of it all. It's definitely like starting out pretty strong. I thought the kind of the crazy reveals earlier on were interesting. There's still some strange, bizarre stuff. Like I said, Bruce and that Scarlett, especially given the history. But like I said, at least it's not as bad as Bruce and Barbara from The Killing Joke. Like, it doesn't reach those levels of weird territories. But still, like I said, there's just something kind of off feeling about that too. But hey, you know what? It's Batman. Like, he's going to get around. Not as much as like Nightwing, but he's still going to get around. So, and I like the inclusion of other Bat family members too. Like Duke in particular feels like a character who's been kind of forgotten about. in terms of like DC Comics. Like he just doesn't really get showcased all that much anymore. He used to be kind of like the day vigilante, but then they just kind of like, you're just kind of here. So I don't know. Like I feel like does DC regret introducing Duke Thomas into the Bat family? Do you feel like there's too many characters? So because Duke always feels like the character who kind of gets like the short end of the stick in terms of the Bat family. Because I mean he is rather like newer. Like he's only been around for, God, how long has he been around? Like not too long. But compared to some of the others, like he hasn't been around as much, but it's nice to see him get a little bit of a showcasing here. And, you know, Cass is off in her solo book for right now. And, you know, Tom Taylor spent so many like years writing Nightwing, like he could use a break from the character at this point. So I'm fine with Dick not being there. Barbara's there too. I would have preferred if she stayed as like Oracle in this thing, but she always kind of seems to jump back and forth between, you know, Batgirl and Oracle, but we already have like 2 other Batgirls. But then again, we have 2 Robins right now too, between Tim, who refuses to move on, and Damian, who's still kind of the current Robin. But it was nice to see them all kind of working together in this sort of capacity for the time being. So far, so good with the first couple of issues of the Taylor Detective Comics run. I am enjoying it more than like his Nightwing book towards the end, especially. But we'll see where we kind of go after this arc, because you can start out strong, but then like long term, a lot of these runs start to deteriorate over time. But so far, this one's keeping pretty serious. Some kind of nice looking artwork sprinkled in, and some good interactions amongst the Bat family. So I'm liking this thing so far. So we'll see where it goes from here, but so far so good. But anyways, what do you all think of it? Post your comments down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with friends, subscribe to the channel for more content, hit the bell for notifications, all that fun stuff. And I will be back tomorrow with more DC comic book reviews. And peace out, everyone.